Kasper Schmeichel is set to sign for Celtic, but is he an upgrade on Celtic's former number one Joe Hart for the past 3 seasons? Well, let's have a look. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. Put up a poll, why not? That's how you decide things these days. Who cares about facts and statistics? It's all about the polls. If polls are good enough to decide a presidential election, then they can decide on whether or not Kasper Schmeichel is an upgrade on Joe Hart. And 63% of people believe that he is an upgrade on Joe Hart, and 37% are saying no. Now, before we get into the comments, I'm going to give my opinion. I think that he is, although I'm reluctant to really double down on that because I haven't seen Kasper Schmeichel play in the last couple of years outside of what he's done with Denmark. So I don't know how good Kasper Schmeichel is compared to how he was when he was playing in the English Premiership, but I've honestly never rated Joe Hart. I always thought the guy was average, even when he was at the top of his game at Manchester City and the England number one. Always thought he was extremely overrated. I think he was average at best at Celtic. Honestly, I do not see where all these Celtic fans praise Joe Hart. I think that he had a lot of mistakes in him, and to be honest, his best spell at Celtic was probably the end. Like the second half of last season, that was probably the best it got for Joe Hart. It's like the longer he was there, the better he got. Maybe he preferred working under Brendan Rodgers than Ange Postecoglou. Who knows? But yeah, for me, the guy wasn't very good. I honestly believe that Celtic would have won the same amount of trophies with Scott Bain in nets. I do. I don't look at Joe Hart and I don't think, well, he won Celtic the league this season, or he won them the cup that year. I don't see that. Honestly, unlike Butland, who, you look at last season, a lot of people said Butland was the only reason Rangers were able to get back into a title fight, so to speak, because he was single-handedly saving Rangers points. I think Celtic were winning leagues. I think Celtic were winning cups because they're a better team and they've got better players. I don't think Joe Hart was responsible for that. I cannot recall one time where Joe Hart, even one game, I'm trying hard to recall one big game where Joe Hart saved Celtic, and I don't remember it. I don't recall it. So yeah, for me, I think Celtic still win the last 3 league titles with Scott Bain as the number one. People will disagree with that, but here, opinions, they're there to be disagreed with. Let's get to the comments. Andrew Taggart said, "Is he fuck? Big Joe done brilliant backing up Callum McGregor, and he will be missed sorely. I guarantee you that. Hail, hail." Look, no one's saying that, well, especially I'm not saying that Joe Hart doesn't have that like leadership qualities. I mean, he does, but I'm rating him on his goalkeeping ability. And for me at Celtic, I never looked at him as a top goalkeeper. He just wasn't. You know, he's not in the same. You can't even put him in the same sentence as like a Boric or a Foster. You just can't. I mean, the guy wasn't. He wasn't as good as Craig Gordon at Celtic. I mean, I'm trying to think of the other Celtic goalkeepers over the years, but yeah, no, Joe Hart, for me, he was bang average. I stick by that. Gisobo 38, that's a kiddie for a keeper. I mean, not really. Some keepers play well into their 40s, but a lot of keepers by the time they get to 38 have declined and have hit their peak big time. And it's like Neuer might be 38, but he's still playing at the top level. He's still playing for Bayern Munich. You look at Kasper Schmeichel, he's on the decline, and his transfers over recent seasons would suggest that. So, yeah. John Elliott says he's a match similar attributes. Would not say an upgrade. His Hart was absolutely brilliant at Celtic. Schmeichel has a big gloves to fill, in my opinion. Where are people getting this? Where are people getting that this Joe Hart was absolutely brilliant at Celtic? Again, he's got leadership qualities, but if you base him on his goalkeeping ability alone and his like big match saves and the points that he single-handedly won for Celtic, I don't see how Joe Hart was brilliant. I honestly do not. I mean, the guy had a shitload of mistakes in him. I'd say Joe Hart was like, you look at Celtic over the past 3 seasons, Joe Hart's one of the weakest possessions. Definitely, 100%. I know people like to talk about Greg Taylor. For me, the weakest possession, probably Joe Hart. Yeah, I would say Joe Hart. Anyway, Bugsy Stallone said Celtic in the Champions League and signing players like this. I mean, prime Kasper Schmeichel's a great signing, but we just don't know how good Kasper Schmeichel is anymore because he has spent the last 2 seasons, in lesser leagues, and every year he seems to be declining. He traded the English Premiership for Ligue 1, he traded Ligue 1 for the Belgian League, and now he's coming to Scotland. If you look at that trajectory, he is going backwards. There's no doubt about that. You can't deny that. Jim Brown, we got a goalkeeper for 6 million and he did nothing. Remember the Brazilian defender Rafael Schiet? Total loss of 12 million there. There's risk for every player. Mark Murray, they're better off with Schmeichel from Corey. I think Schmeichel for Corey is passed away, unfortunately. James Fulton, I think going for him is a mistake, and Celtic need top-class keeper and are not prepared to spend 6-7 million to get one, in fact maybe more. That seems to be the problem. Celtic will rather bring in an older keeper for free than spend 6-7 million to try and get a good keeper. But we've seen them spend 5 million before on Barkas, so maybe they're a wee bit scarred from that. But yeah, I think people would just rather see them show a bit of ambition and spend millions on someone who's younger rather than an old and reliable Kasper Schmeichel. But it is what it is. Connor Kelly, essentially a like for a like. I mean, it is similar. Again, like I said, it's hard to really rate Schmeichel right now because we haven't really seen him play. I think he's marginally better than Joe Hart, but I mean, he might not be. Who knows? Maybe Schmeichel has been really poor the past couple of seasons, and that's why he's coming to Celtic. Old Scott, I ticked yesterday, but he's not what the team needs for stability in the longer term, and the board are still greedy, profit-driven. Cheapskates. People who simply don't feel for or support the club in the same way fans do. Master Blaster, it's an upgrade in Jack Butland, never mind Joe. Is it really, though? I mean, Jack Butland is probably the best player at Rangers right now, so I just don't think it is. And this post would suggest that, maybe it doesn't suggest that. I was thinking the post would suggest that it's an upgrade on Joe's better than Jack, but maybe not after rereading it. Yeah, anyway, let's move on. Retarded moment though. Brian Gorman, I'm 42, can't hardly walk up a hill. Casper's a year in him yet. I'm happy with it. 42. I mean, 42 is not old to be walking up hills. Maybe for a goalkeeper it's old, but 42, still a young pup. Although technically midlife crisis. So who knows? Aussie Travel says I wouldn't say so, but still best keepers in Scotland. Aidan Lenz, Celtic becoming a retirement home for keepers. I'm highly delighted with our new goalkeeper. Cute Kanji, I don't really think his age comes into it much. It's not like he's going to be rushed off his feet. He has just finished a Euros and probably had more involvement than he will in a whole bunch of games for Celtic. McGregor played up to 41, albeit he was rotten last season. But at 37, 38 or even 39, he got player of the season, did he not? I mean, he did. He did. And McGregor, up until... I think McGregor in his last 2 seasons was pretty poor. But, yeah, no, look at Craig Gordon. He's still playing at a good level, but you're not at your prime. You might still be good, but you're not at your best. There's no denying that. Your reflexes, your speed, your timing, your diving, your ability overall, everything goes down. Just a fact. Reaction times, all of that stuff. Let's see. Can't be arsed with this signing. Reeks of penny pinching and desperation. It does. I'm not saying it's a bad signing, but it does reek of the good old Celtic penny pinching. Oliver Finn says anything is an improvement on Hart. David O'Connor, in terms of ability, possibly. In terms of a human being, nowhere close. People speak about Joe Hart as if they know him personally and they've grew up with him for the past 20 years. What is this? What is this love fest with Joe Hart? I don't get it. I really don't. Mike said he's nearly 38. Kid Boo says he might be good, but when you use goalkeepers at the end of their careers, it's always a risk. We hung on to McGregor for too long, and his last season at the club was a total disaster. It's a coin flip when they get to that age. I agree. And I think we're seeing the same thing happen with Craig Gordon. I mean, I think Craig Gordon was great, but ever since that double leg break, at his age and to miss a full year, Craig Gordon's not the same goalkeeper. And that just happens. That's a fact. You can just drop off the cliff. It doesn't matter what sport you're at. You're just going to hit an age, and you could be great, and then one day you just will wake up and you will have hit your best. You will start going on the decline. Happens in all sports, whether it be boxing or whatever. You can have a fighter, looks good, and then one fight, they don't look good, and then after that, they're never the same. You do not know when you've hit your peak, and you do not know, when your last good season or your last good fight has come and went. So it's just one of those things. Schmeichel could still be good for a few seasons, or we could have seen the best of Kasper Schmeichel. We might never see another good Kasper Schmeichel season. It's very possible. He might have used all his good seasons up. Vincent McNabb says Hart was good for Celtic overall. I thought he was impeccable. What the fuck is happening here? What the hell is this shit? This isn't Joe Hart. Anyway, after a dodgy start, he was a great influence in the Celtic dressing room. Without him, I think Celtic would likely not have won the league. I think KS is still at the top of his game. He's still first choice for Denmark and another wise head. I think this is a great signing by Celtic. I mean, yes, he is still the number one for Denmark, but I mean that could be due to reputation rather than ability. I mean, let's be honest, we've seen it at the Euros. I mean, Harry Kane, perfect example. He's the number one for England, but should he be? Absolutely not. So, I mean, it could be just the fact that Kasper Schmeichel's been the number one for so long. It's kind of his position until he no longer wants it, if that makes sense. So, yeah, it could be something like that. Bob Sims says, big time, unfortunately 36 or 37 though, so his age might already be affecting his abilities. Rather have Butland though. I think so. Like, you can argue who's a better goalkeeper, right? You can say that Schmeichel and Hart are better than Butland. If you really want to say that, you can say that. But at the end of the day, Butland's a better choice because he's 31. And these guys are 37, 38. So you know that Butland has got more years left at his prime than the other two do. You can argue peak ability, but Butland should be good at his best for like another 5 seasons. What's Schmeichel going to be like in 5 seasons? I would imagine not very good. And then James Nichols said, if he can come out and claim a ball in his own 6-yard line, then yes. So yeah, there you go. Joe Hart, something he just couldn't really do at Celtic. So, yeah, for me, Joe Hart, extremely overrated. I do think Kasper Schmeichel is an upgrade. How much of an upgrade, though? I don't think we'll actually know until we see him play, because, like I said, he has kind of moved down the last couple of seasons. He's went from England to France to Belgium, now to Scotland. He's not the same Kasper Schmeichel that was involved with the Leicester team that was winning the league title, winning the FA Cup title, challenging for top 4, competing in the Champions League. So, yeah, who knows, but I agree with the poll. Anyway, guys, that is it. We're talking about Kasper Schmeichel, and he hasn't even signed yet. I know it's pretty much going to happen, but could you imagine if all this was spoken about and now he doesn't even join? I'd be a bit dumb, be a bit stupid. Anyway, guys, that's it. Catch you in the next one. Till then, peace.